Today, we're giving you the best strategy clips of the year so that you can start off 2025 with a leg up on your competition. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show. Well, that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And like we do every year, and we have been doing this since we started in, 2018, 2019, we do a recap episode where I handpick some of the best strategies of the entire year. You know, every year we go through about 100 episodes a year, not including the weekly buzz, where we have a lot of guests, and everybody has great strategies. It's really hard to pick like some of the top ones. But what I did is me and the team got together and pulled out some of the top strategies that you guys had talked about in social media and such that you liked. And we put it together so that you could, get a leg up on the competition now that we're at the beginning here of 2025. And so these are strategies that are not out of date. They're still valid. There are some that already within a few months became out of date. We're not including them here. So guys, I hope you enjoy this episode. Get your pen and paper out. I want each and every one of you to make it your homework to pick at least five of these that we're about to give. I think we're doing about 20 here, but do 5 that most apply to you and your business. Not everything applies to everybody equally. Pick 5 out of these and implement it this month in your business, or at least make a plan for it. All right. So let's go ahead and see the top strategies of the year.
So the first thing you did was you selected verified manufacturers. And what's that for? Okay. It means any information that they provide on their listing, whether it be number of years in business, how many staff they have, what certificates they have, what patents they have, what products they have, what does their production line look like, the images and videos in the factory. That's all been verified by a third party, meaning Intertek, SGS, TUV, one of these very reputable companies have gone in and verified all the information is true. Whereas if we didn't work with verified suppliers, then whatever information they want to put there, we just have to sort of take their word for it. So verified is the most important thing to search for first. Then on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see trade assurance, right? I would always click that as well. And trade assurance just means that your payment is protected. So if you've ordered an egg dispenser which holds, 20 eggs, and you do the production and you receive one which only holds 10 eggs, then the trade assurance will protect you and it will refund your order because you've selected that, right? That's just a little bit of a safety net. Important for new sellers, right? And then as you scroll down on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see something that says management certification, right? And if you scroll down a little bit more, so you see like BSCI and you see SEDEX, you see ISO. I always like to select BSCI and ISO. So BSCI is your Business Social Compliance Initiative, and ISO is just a really high quality standard. And this just basically means these are factory certificates that they have. So BSCI will go in and they'll check how many years you've been in business? Do you have like fire extinguishers? Do you have adequate lighting? Do you have safety exits? Like we've checked the dormitories, we've checked like the canteen where the workers eat. So it's kind of like gives you confidence that you're working for a very, very good factory, right? So now if we go back to the top of the list, right? We've searched by manufacturers, we've got verified manufacturers, we've got trade assurance, and we've got factories which have, BSCI and ISO certification. So now as I'm scrolling down the list, like if you zoom in on the company names, like the first word in the company name is always the city or the province in which that factory is located. So sometimes like the factories like electronics are made in Shenzhen, backpacks are normally made in like Chenzhou, like furniture, like steel tubing for furniture chairs is made in like Yongkang. So I'm just trying to get familiar. Is there an area which specializes in egg dispensers? Maybe not, because it's such a niche product, right? That maybe you could make it anywhere. But as I scroll down, I'm trying to see like, is there one name that pops up more frequent than others? And then that's
interesting.
Like the area which specializes in that product. But I see Ningbo has probably popped up a few times, right? So,
yep.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. If Ningbo had popped out like 8 out of 9 times, I would say, right, well, that's the region we need to be ordering from.
Interesting.
ACOS is great, but obviously this is Tacos Tuesday, and Tacos is the metric of your total sales.
Yes.
And so when we're looking at total sales, something that we brought in, and I know it's a little vague, but we really looked at the halo impact of ad strategies and how they impacted ranking and total sales, right? And so when we focused our ad strategy, maybe on a cost per customer acquisition model, maybe on a tacos model, and we look to really prioritize, hey, where are we showing up, right? So if we're driving all this traffic and we have a 20% conversion rate, let's say on this keyword, are we tracking using Helium 10, of course? Are we tracking that ranking properly to say, hey, we started running these ads aggressively on August 1st. And if we've been tracking ranking on that keyword for the last 2 months since going aggressive on that term, where are we ranking now? And how have sales changed? And are there broader KPIs that we're measuring outside of just direct ad revenue? And that worked really well for us because we centered that around tentpole events. And this is a really big strategy of ours that is incredibly complex. It takes, a whole village to actually execute. But when we focus our customer acquisition and ranking models around major times in the year, so think Prime Day, think Fall Prime Day, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday, and then of course, if you're a one-off brand, if you, are ski related, then obviously your season is January to March, there are differences, but really peak seasons, if you're able to focus your growth model around the times that are going to give you the most reward, then that worked really well for us last year, and we expect to see a lot more of that this year, especially as we all expect people are going to be more deal-oriented. It's a constant battle for margins. So the better ranked you are, the more organic sales you drive, the better your tacos is.
Several years ago, we were about to stock out of, so as you know, we sell a lot of fourth quarter products and kind of joke toy products. And we were about to stock out of one that we sold between 800 and 1,000 units a day of, which is a fairly substantial issue. So we actually loaded up a cargo van and drove the cargo van to Amazon, talked our way through the front gates to deliver it, and they took it. And so we did that once, then we did it again, and we got through again. The third time, they're like, no, you can't do this. And so okay. But somehow we have to be able to do this. So we looked into Carrier Central and figured out how we could become a last mile provider, which is incredibly easy. It takes about 15 minutes to fill out a form, and then you have to show that you can back in and out of a parking spot. Incredibly easy. But so in that January, we bought a truck, and the rest is history from there. But it came about because we were about to stock out and panicked, and we're like, well, what's the worst that can happen?
And one of the things that I recommend to every time that we have a new client or I meet someone is to narrow in on fewer SKUs. It sounds quite simple, right? But what we do every time is that if you have a big catalog, A, B, C, and D products. And then A products, they get a special treatment compared to B, C, and D. It could even be if your catalog is massive, you only focus your ad spend on A products. Same thing from a content perspective. Those are the ones that get the most love in terms of title, bullet point, backend attributes, etc., descriptions. So it's just having that focus on fewer products, I think, is number one. Then, if you can, automate your reporting. We have that in Looker automated so that you don't have to necessarily sit and look at the data and pull Excel spreadsheets, etc. It just saves you so much time if you're capable of doing it and spending time on it. Then I think, thirdly, we talked a little bit about it, but I think taking the time to do super solid keyword research from the get-go, like get into Magnet, get into Amazon's data sources, get into Cerebro, look through all your competitors' keywords, etc. Understand what those A keywords are. And those A keywords are the only thing that you focus on in the start. Those are the ones that go into your rank campaigns, they go into your manual campaigns, etc. And those are the ones that just where you track everything through. Like a little hack could be for your A products, every week you use Cerebro every other week. You put in your A product, and then you export all the data for that. You take a spreadsheet in column A. You say, this is the date when I pulled this is the date that I pulled the data. This is the ASIN. You put in the ASIN that you pulled the data for. Then you make a formula. You can just ask ChatGPT where, based on the paid and organic rank, you say whether you classified the keyword as being on page 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then you pull this data in this way every single week for maybe 2 months when you're running a new test or something like that. You take all the data, you put it into a pivot table, and boom, then you would have an overview in a graph of how many, like all your page 1, 2, 3, 4 positions across your entire catalog. And you can even put a filter on up in the top, and then you can sort by ASIN. And then you basically have your own visibility tool where you can see your paid and your organic visibility on a weekly level, at an ASIN level, and you can use that to take all those keywords. If you're ranking on, let's say, page 3 or 2 or something like that, put them into a rank campaign if you feel like they're good. You can take all the keywords where you're on page 2, maybe put them in the title, etc. So like building those systems that allows you to scale something consistently.
What was your gross sales yesterday, last week, last year? More importantly, what are your profits after all your cost of selling on Amazon? Did you pay any storage charges to Amazon? How much did you spend on PPC? Find out these key metrics and more by using the Helium 10 tool, Profits. For more information, go to h10.me/profits.
So one of the biggest things was the fact that I do think a lot of Amazon sellers don't really have a brand. They just have a name for a business or a name for something that they use. And they don't really have what I'd call a true brand. And they don't always, I think sometimes also existing only on Amazon makes you lose perspective on how normal businesses work, like businesses that aren't based on Amazon. And so, a lot of businesses, I think throughout life, people buy from people. And I think that's so important to remember that even on Amazon, one of the reasons why Amazon focuses so heavily on A+ listings, and now they're bringing the premium A+ and all the rest of it, because Amazon knows, right? You've known me quite a few years now, and I've always banged on about brand. I've always banged on about having a story. Tell your story. It doesn't have to be your story necessarily. It could be the product story. Mm-hmm. But you need to have something that differentiates you. And even then, I was chatting to someone at the conference earlier on, and I was saying the thing is that sometimes it's not even the fact that you're selling different products, it's the way that you curate them, right? So it's the collection of products that you've chosen to sell under your brand name says something.
So one of our clients is an international brand, they're an American registered company, and last year they cleared 7 figures, and we're definitely looking to do a lot more this year. That's in 2 years. They're doing very, very well in America. They sell in Europe and they sell in Canada, but the Japanese sales are now almost comparable to the US sales. But the profit margins are a lot higher.
That was about to be my second question. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because things like the PPC is a hell of a lot cheaper. The ACOS for the account is about, I think it's about 8-9% now. The TACOS is about 3 or 4%. And it's the kind of figures you can't really get in the US. So actually, in theory, you could sell a lot less in Japan and still end up with the same kind of profit as you could in the US. But obviously, if you're getting sales close to the US, you're probably going to have much, much higher margins. Japan really generally is cheaper. It's cheaper tax as well. If you are of the threshold to pay tax, but if you're under 10 million yen, which is probably about 60,000-70,000 US. If you're under that in sales, you don't have to pay consumption tax. There is no tax. So anybody like me selling in Europe who gets absolutely flossed by the tax authorities there, paying 19, 20, 21, 23% in some of the regions in Europe, you could be selling 50,000-60,000 US in Japan and not have to pay any consumption tax whatsoever. So there are definite advantages to selling in Japan.
What are some of the things that set you apart from maybe the 10 other matcha people who maybe have started and gone out of business, because they didn't have your strategies? What do you think set you apart from others?
Well, I think a handful of things. The first one is, so I think you can rely on Amazon PPC. You can look at your search term impression share reports. You can look at your keyword ranking and all that kind of stuff. And that will help you in the short run. But honestly, the thing that really helped us the most was patience and making sure that your product is on a sensory level, it's actually good and people like it. Once you have those two things covered, then you just need to get people to try it, get them to tell their friends, and then their friends who are interested in matcha will buy, and then they are buying again. And then this whole thing kind of grows by itself. your PPC and all of these other like tools that you have are really just like fuel that you add to this engine.
And on the other side of things is obviously you kind of need to make sure that you treat your suppliers well as well. Make sure that they understand what they're going through, and make sure that you try to understand what they're going through. If language is a barrier, hire an interpreter, right? It's not too difficult. Decency goes both ways. So you may be pressed, but you got to recognize that the factories themselves, they are pressed as well. So working together for a compromise, understanding each other, and not throwing too much, just to be a little bit more understanding towards each other goes a long way. I think what tends to happen is that if you're not patient, as Sam has mentioned, you may cut off communications with factories that may help you in the future, and you don't want to do that.
I think the biggest things that we look at is we create rules for the different outcomes we want. If we're launching a brand new product, then we're creating rules that are based off sales. So we're going to be taking a deep dive into, hey, what is the conversion rate and what is the sales? And we're going to build rules for maximizing that. Increase bid when I have a certain conversion rate. On the flip side, if our goal is profitability, we're going to work backwards from our ACOS or our ROAS goal. We're going to say, hey, let's build rules that are based on lowering bids when our ACOS is too high. And maybe layering in our conversion rates also low. Let's go even lower, right? So those are the two simplest ones that we look at, but it really needs to be strategic. You can create rules that are based off the phase your product's in, whether it's launch, consistency, profitability, organic rank. You can create rules based off your overall business outcomes, which is always an important one, is what is that key ROAS that you're going to optimize for all of your campaigns. But just making sure not to overcomplicate it in the beginning, right? Once you start to understand the correlation between CPC and ROAS, then you can start building in a little bit more customization around life cycle and things like that.
This is how you can convert like crazy with what he calls an index image. He calls it it's the image in your listing that will be the top reasons why your product is the best. This is not your main photo. This is not your photo number one. This is what he calls this photo number two. And it's an index of your products. Is why he calls it the indexed image. And what he says is you need to number the benefits. A lot of people are using call outs, they use infographics, but they don't number them. So you want to actually have numbers like this. So this should be something like this should be your second image. The 5 reasons you love, or the 7 reasons, or the 3 reasons. Odd numbers are always better than even numbers. 3, 5, or 7 are always, or 9 always work the best. But here he's got the 5, and look, there's numbers. That's important. He just doesn't list them. People like order, and when they see numbers, their mind can sort it, and they can read it quickly, and it makes sense to them. So the numbering system here is critical. Not just the fact that he put the main point, the main benefit and capital, and then explained it in bold and a little bit larger, and then explained everything else below it in light blue. But he's got these numbers. That's the critical thing, is numbering it.
And maybe this is a little bit of the sexy side of patents, but you've talked before about how doing patent searches can actually be a form of product research and finding a product to sell on Amazon. How in the world is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. It's true because the way that the patent system works, once a patent expires, it's fair game for anyone to use it. So a utility patent lasts for 20 years and a design patent lasts for 15. But once that patent expires, anyone can make that product. And so, and at the same time, keep in mind that a lot of people have an idea for a product, they get it patented, but they never really, they never do the research, they never learn about the process enough to actually get that product launched. And so there are a lot of great ideas that have been patented that are just in the patent archives, and they've never actually been put on the market. There are some lousy ideas, but there are also some great ideas. And so if you know how, and you search the patent record for expired patents, you can find ideas for really great potential products.
We dabble with the US a few times in the past, and ThomasNet is really popular. Well, you see it spoken about quite a lot as a resource. Honestly, we never had any success there. Like there was a time where the MOQs are always insanely high, and there was a product previously that we agreed to the MOQ. It was something like 10 or 20,000 units. It was pretty big, and we were like, okay, we'll go for it. But can you just repackage repackage them into a different kind of mix, and they just said, nah, don't fancy it. And we were like, right, okay. So we kind of banging our head against the wall. So now a little known site called Google is honestly the best bet. So like, but I'm not talking page one of Google. You've got to like dig. So put on a VPN if you're somewhere like we are, like in Spain, put on a US VPN, and then get down to like pages 5, 6, 7, 8, get in there. And then I just hammer a lot of emails out, but a lot of the websites that you find down in those stages or those pages, they're not good at SEO. They're generally kind of old sites, but you're finding older established businesses. So, and often you'll find a phone number. So one of the best lessons I say is like get on the phone and just ring them up, and you can save months of time. Like one of the guys we ended up working with, I had a phone call with him on the first day I found it. And we're now doing 2 products with him already. We've got another 3 lined up, and he had nothing to do with the niche we're in. So we're in pets. He was in humans. He's in food. I just gave him a call, explained the brand vision, what we're trying to do. He got really excited. He's now helping us source new ingredients. He's coming to me with product ideas. He's now going to do a whole range of products for us. So that was one of the beauties, is like having that communication line and being able to really explain yourself has been massive. We are still sourcing in China, by the way. Like we still think it's a really viable option, but having this US option as well there's so many benefits to it.
In terms of Walmart, that's always been a strategy for us. Transparently, Walmart just hasn't been a volume driver for us. It's been a steady, but it hasn't really been a place that's warranted a ton of focus for us. But another marketplace that has been great for us is actually Target's marketplace, Target Plus. And that's been a key piece of our success, especially with working with brands who are looking for store placement at Target, for example. We've had a few items that we've listed on Target's marketplace that have done really well, that have gotten the attention of a buyer and actually got store placement, which is really exciting. And at the end of the day, getting an item placed on shelves most of the time can drive more volume than a mid-tier listing on Amazon. So we tend to try to use that strategy.
How do you get on Target these days? Like, wasn't it invite only back in the day, or now that Target is adding that 360 or some kind of like?
I think it might still be invite only, but I know they've been actively adding a lot of sellers. I know that their back end is still quite archaic compared to what Amazon is. It's probably what Walmart was like 4 years ago. But I think it is still invite only, but definitely something to reach out to your connections and see if you can get a connect with a Walmart e-com buyer.
So there are a few reasons why you want to be indexed on Google. And for the most, let's start from the most advanced ones, right? Advanced sellers, they normally try to send traffic to Amazon, especially during the launch period, using external traffic, right? So Google, we know, is a good referral that tends to help your rankings. And so Amazon tends to reward you if they see traffic coming from Google. So if you're not indexed, you lose a chance to show Amazon that you are getting traffic from Google. Now, I have a theory that paid traffic has a little bit more weight than organic, but the reason why you want to be indexed, and the reason why you might want to be indexed for certain keywords, is so that when you drive traffic through the URL to Amazon, you can actually give attribution to that keyword. That's number one, right? So you can actually use these URLs as your, two-step. Number two, if you do a good job with your indexation and your listing is optimized, you actually also appear in the images, right? And so if people are looking for specific products, sometimes I search on Google using the images because I'm looking for specific products that might be hard to find on Amazon. But if I look through the Google images and I find the product, then I go to Amazon. And so if you're not indexed, you're also not going to be able to be found there. And Google Images actually gets a ton of traffic. So here are some of the reasons why, two of the reasons why. I can think of many more, but the most important are these ones. Google is still one of the largest search engine. And so missing out on that opportunity, I'm afraid it causes a lot of missed visibility for an Amazon seller at a listing level.
I think one of the things that sets us apart is that when I've created our listings or whenever I create our photos, I think about what are the main benefits of the product, the main selling points of it. And I realize this isn't something that everyone can easily do. And so the way I kind of have been teaching it is that you can take your competitor's listing, download their reviews, download their best reviews, their 5-star reviews, and say, ask ChatGPT, like, what do people like most about this product? What are the benefits of this product according to the reviews? What do people, like? Basically ask a bunch of questions to ChatGPT, and you'll get a bunch of kind of selling points, and you'll kind of see a trend of like the top selling points or top benefits of your product. And that's what you want to focus on, is like, what's in it for the customer? You've got to kind of appeal to their emotions. How is it going to make their life better, easier? Are they going to be more beautiful? Are they going to, what is it? What's in it for them? And I think that is going to be the key that sets you apart. And I know it sounds pretty basic, but I've actually been doing some looking at different listings. People have been asking me, hey, can you take a look at my listing? And when I look at the listing, I'm like, well, these are not actually selling points or benefits. Like, these are features of the product, right? You can always put the features in, right, later on, but how are you appealing to the person? If you're telling somebody about your product, are you being like, oh, hey, the dimensions are 14 by 14? Like, that's like an afterthought, right? You want to, however you would even just sell to a person, like talking face to face, that's how you're going to, do that. Your first image shouldn't be a dimension photo. It should be a selling, point, your main, like, best selling point, main benefit in that first image. So, I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people are kind of missing.
What would you say is the most actionable things from Search Career Performance that kind of closes out like, hey, this is actually something that is not just it's good to know, but hey, I'm actually going to take action on this?
Taking action, I would say, even when I look at my own brand, one is that for the main keywords, what I do this on a weekly basis. I have a list of the main keywords, which is for one of my ASINs are like 10 keywords. And actually, I go into the detail of week over week what is happening to my click share for those keywords, because they are very important for me, and I want to be on the top. I'm like top 5 for these terms. I want to be aware of what is going on with my competitors and what's my need. So if I see, I have a track of my click share for the keywords. If I see it is going down, right away, I'll figure out what's going on and maybe push with my advertising. For me, would be our main keywords and what's happening for my click-through rate, conversion rate, and click share, just for my top keywords. Honestly, I won't bother myself going with for all the keywords, just like top 5 to 10 keywords, what they are, and I'll keep a very close overview and monitor them to see exactly what's going on, because you see that search volume going up or down. But I want my click share and my conversion share that I have, I'm generating, either they are consistent or going up. So if I see this trend is down, right away I start doing, maybe I run coupon code, or I push with my advertising to make sure I'm getting them back into track.
What is your favorite Helium 10 tool, Ksenia, or function of a tool?
Probably the audience. That's the one that I use all the time. Is it called audience?
Yeah, the split, like where you ask the questions to the people and say, how are you using that? Like for your images, or just for product ideas, or what are you using that?
Honestly, for everything. For both, for the product ideas, for the images, because I just think it's so easy. When you're thinking about like the product we find, then I usually do like the drawing and 3D, the 3D image of the product that doesn't exist yet. Then usually all my products are like really designed differently. That's what's on the market right now. And I just upload the image there and I see what people say. And I ask them, would you buy this product? And if you wouldn't buy this product, why not? Or what would you change in this product? And sometimes I see the things that I didn't even think about that.
So you're launching just the 3D rendering and just asking a question on that image, or you're launching it or you're launching it, you're putting it in a poll next to like existing products and asking them, or which one are you doing?
I'm doing both, actually. Okay. The first, I just do the rendering and ask them, would you buy this product? And if you would not buy this product, what would you change? Like, how would you make it better for you? And then sometimes I also compare it to the other products that are on the market and ask them which one would they buy.
Interesting.
And a lot of times I do the changes on the product based on what the people say.
What was the result of those search, find, buy in order to send those relevancy signals. Again, not for rank, but to send those relevancy signals to Amazon. Take a look at this. When I ran in Cerebro on June 19th, just 3 days after they did that relevancy signal, push, those 3 coworkers here at Helium 10, take a look now at the Amazon recommended rank. Remember how it was only showing 2 keywords for Amazon recommended rank? Now it was showing multiple ones, and it put that keyword that I sent the relevancy signal for, egg holder countertop, it had Amazon recommended rank number 3, which basically means that was the 3rd most important keyword according to Amazon for this product. Now, do you remember what I was getting for impressions in PPC, like 200 total impressions over 3 days? What did sending those relevant signals to Amazon do for my PPC impressions? Take a look at this. The next 3-day period from June 19th, when my relevancy got fixed, to June 21st, instead of 200 impressions, 5,000 impressions. 4,000 of that, what keyword was it for? Egg holder countertop, that one that I sent those relevancy signals to Amazon for. This works, guys.
So Walmart has the equivalent would be Brand Portal. And I would absolutely recommend, if you're the seller, if you're the brand, to register through Brand Portal. The main reasons are there's certain advertising opportunities that are only available to brand registered brands. So sponsored brand videos, sponsored brand ads that go across as banner displays. Another major one would be brand shops, brand shelves. We can talk about later as well. And then IP protection. And so the advantage of being registered in Brand Portal is that you can file IP infringement claims. And in this case, the most successful one to do is to file claims against those alternate listings for using your copyrighted imagery. And so we see success of getting those pulled down within 48 hours typically when that happens. Now, you can still file that IP claim even if you're not registered through Brand Portal. There's a link to file that claim, but you can't track its progress. You can't see the history, all those kind of things. So it just gives you greater credibility in those and greater ability to look back at the progress. And the last one I'd say is if you're a registered brand, it's going to give you the highest content ranking for your listing. So even if there are other sellers that have tried to change that listing content, you're going to outrank them as the registered brand. And chances are you're not going to have to deal with things changing on your listing in that regard.
COSMO is a specific tool, and I think that the function that it performs is valuable to enhancing Amazon's understanding of a listing. So I certainly would not be surprised to see Amazon implementing this in a production capacity on a large swath of searches. That would not be surprising to me, but it's not as massive as the shift that we've seen into semantic focused search. COSMO in particular discusses essentially a mechanism for enhancing Amazon's understanding of a product by taking into consideration things that aren't expressed in the query and things that aren't expressed in the listing. The example that they use in the paper, the canonical example is, if you're looking for shoes for pregnant women, a listing might not literally say shoes for pregnant women. It might produce a specific type of open-toed shoe that has good support, good comfort. That might not literally be listed as a keyword in the listing, but it might be something that the system can infer based on its knowledge of the universe about what it's like to be a pregnant woman and the types of products that they might benefit from.
Out of everybody that we've looked at, 70, it was up to 80, but it's 70% of Amazon sellers do not have the proper HTS code. They let their Chinese seller set an HS code, and it's wrong. So when they get in here, and guess what? Nobody is calculating that as a part of your cost of goods. So they're going out, they're sourcing in China, they're not calculating, and this could be as high as 400%. Now I've never seen it that, but it can be. So, you're 25, 40% of your cost of goods. Is that not something that should be calculated? And like for me, I was doing natural soaps and I was paying 17%. So we were taking a look at it and Afalabi says, can you consider this Castile soap? And I said, yeah, it's olive based. And he goes, well, how about I give you some good news? Pay zero. I just stuffed 17% back in my pocket. So, So out of the 70% of people that are missing the boat, they don't have the proper tariff code. And the average person that gets the proper tariff code on an order, the average that we've been able to calculate has been $7,800.